Blades Ramble are proudly supported by our main channel sponsor, My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. We would not be where we are without the incredible support of John and the team. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information or follow the link in the description below.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades? Welcome back to the Blades Ramble. Let me just double check. Yes, we're on. Good morning. It's a bright and breezy one. I've been up watching the boxing, so I was awake anyway when the information came through. So for those that aren't aware, Ruben Selles has reportedly has to be said. The club has not yet announced this. I'm going to have to keep my phone on and wait for an official club announcement because this has come out from trusted journalists. It's come out from Pete O'Rourke, who is very rarely wrong, and Alex Crook has followed it up from TalkSport. So Ruben Selles has been sacked as Sheffield United manager, according to those respected journalists. Who would not, they've said it definitively, he has been sacked. Not hearing rumours that he will be, it's a case of he has been sacked. So we are comfortable coming on and believing that is the case, because how foolish will they, obviously we will look at as a sort of extension of that, we will look foolish as well for coming on and saying this if it does not appear to be true. But I am very, very confident that this is now the case, that he has gone. They will look ridiculous if it doesn't happen now. So completely trust those two that they wouldn't say if it hadn't happened. Just waiting on full club confirmation of it happening now, and we're straight on to talk about it like we always are. Come rain or shine, we will always be here in good news, bad news. When it's been a difficult result, we were here for 90 after 90. We were here for an hour and a half after we got beat 5-0 by Ipswich, and it's not just the good times that you have to ride. You're with your club throughout, aren't you? And this has been a really difficult period for the football club. A couple of things I want to say. Obviously, I'm delighted at the rumours that Chris Wilder is set to return. There's no getting away from what is being widely speculated, that Chris Wilder is set for a return. But just to focus on Ruben Selles for a minute, I just think it was too much too soon. Not necessarily for him as a person, but I think as a club, trying to change everything about our club. And I've gone back and forth on this because I understand the reasons for wanting to help us progress as a club by going in a different direction. And a lot of people will feel the same in terms of, look, we need to change something to get out of this stigma or this ceiling of being a yo-yo club. But it's certainly not worked with disappointment. There's another side of the coin that says we are what we are, and you can probably change the whole DNA of the football club if you want to, but then we will become unrecognisable from what so many of us know and love. So it's a really difficult dilemma, really, because as a businessman and as those that invest in the club, they will want us to become certainly another Brighton, Brentford, but obviously a Liverpool, Man City is the eventual aim in terms of becoming that sort of club. But we're not. We're nowhere near. We're a million miles away. And what we are is a club that's built on hard work, passion, and everybody being together as one. Yes, we're a big club at our level. We certainly are. We're one of the biggest clubs in the Championship. But we've no divine right to be a Premier League club. You have to earn it on the pitch, and clearly that's what we all want to do. But you can't ever forget where you come from. And I think we tried to change as a club, and I know a lot of the fans pushed back on this, me included, really, but we understood. I think as a club, the owners have tried to fast forward and accelerate our change when really they tried to go for revolution rather than evolution. And I think it's backfired spectacularly, and it's been an absolutely disastrous start to the season. That only is magnified by the success, and I will call it success, that we had on the pitch last season, because in any other year, 92 points, bar 2 years, I think, 92 points will get you promoted out of this league. There were 2 superb teams in this league with us last season, and that was just unfortunate. Congratulations to Burnley and Leeds. We've said all that. But in any other year, that gets you out of the league. So having that pressure on a new manager like Ruben Selles, who appears, in hindsight, and it's easy for us all to say now, but it appears that it was well out of his depth. It's been too much too soon, too much of a change. And this is where you have to praise the ownership. And that might surprise some, and some may disagree with this point. But again, this is just my opinion, and I'm happy to hear yours. The first example was the transfer market. So I'm talking about from the summer, when they decided to, the first huge decision that they made was to sack Chris Wilder and bring in Ruben Selles. And it was largely reported that that was a split in the board. Whether that's true or not, none of us will really truly know. But it was largely reported that it was fine margins that Chris Wilder got sacked. From what I understand, it was fairly unanimous that Ruben Selles was going to be their man, which again is a bit of a concern. And the concerns that we've raised on this channel has always been, who are their advisors? Who they admit to not knowing an awful lot about football. It's certainly not their passion or their sort of inspiration. It's a business for them. But then it's really important that you surround yourself with the right people. So who are they being advised by? Des Taylor were talked about, somebody who I don't particularly rate, to be honest. Stephen Bettis was there. That's a shining light, and I know a lot of people wouldn't agree with that, but I think Stephen Bettis has been through it all. He's done an awful lot behind the scenes that people don't recognise and appreciate. I think he's come in for some unnecessary stick recently, but hopefully this will prove to be rectified now. So they've made the decision to sack Chris Wilder, which was a tight decision, and then it was a fairly straightforward decision to appoint Ruben Selles, from what we understand. It's that was the huge decision that they've made and completely changed direction of the club. The transfer policy, they've poorly assessed our squad in terms of, you cannot underestimate how much Chris Wilder got out of that squad in terms of players like Gus Hamer, Sidney Peck, Callum O'Hare, Tyrese Campbell, Harrison Burrows, players that played really well last season. Is that their level? Were they playing higher than their level? Because this season, whatever you think of them as players, they've all played below their level, haven't they? So we clearly thought we had a nucleus of a squad that could compete at the top end of the league, and all we needed to do was sprinkle it with high potential development players. I'm not sure what the long-term plan for the window originally was, whether we would have always come back to championship-proven players, but I significantly doubt it. So we went for players like Tyler Binden, who we'd worked with at Reading. Good prospect defender. I liked the signing personally. It's not worked out. He's looked poor in a poor team. Louis Barry hasn't really hit the heights. He's not really made an impact previously at championship level. Had a really strong season in League One. Joined Ruben Selles in the championship last season at Hull. Got injured early doors, so didn't really get to see much of him. Louis Barry comes and joins us. Okay, don't mind that signing either. He pitched for Samari, who we've signed from Braga, I think, and £1 million loan fee. The obligation to make it permanent, which will make it a £10 million deal. Not really played him, which was really perplexing. So that's how we started the first game of the season. Those were 3 signings, and El Ahmedhodzic left on the week of the start of the season. We were expecting to lose an L, so why are we not replacing him or getting replacements teed up? I know it came in, it was like a quick turnaround. They wanted him really quickly. They're paying now. take it or leave it because this is a lot of money on the table. When we took it, I understand the business side of it, but what's going on? Why haven't we got somebody already in? Prior to this, we'd had Jimmy Dunn lined up. Harry Darling had been talking to us. There were other players lined up ready to come in who would have strengthened our squad under Chris Wilder. He made all the deals, and then he'd been removed from position. So we chose not to go ahead with those deals. We chose not to go for proven championship quality. And people may still push back on things like the Jimmy Dunn deal, but I think it were an absolute no-brainer, to be honest. So we'd had all those deals lined up. We start the season. Vinny Sousa's gone, who was a real rock in the middle for us in the Championship. Poor Premier League season, but had proven his worth at Championship level. Expected to go, so we needed to replace him, and we hadn't done. And we start the season at Bristol City, and we start well. He talked about this vertical attacking style. He talked about, going at teams and dominating them. It should be said, he's never managed a team that's dominated. Well, he managed Southampton in the Premier League, so they were under the cosh as well. But he's never managed a team that's dominated the ball. He's always been better out of possession than he has in. And we've gone to Bristol City, looked great in the first half hour, I would say. Got a sucker punch. Gus Amer, who's now playing in the 8, which a lot of us have called for, so I'm not calling Ruben Selles for this. A lot of us have called for Gus Amer in the 8, no discipline in that position. Whether that's manager, whether that's player, probably a little bit of both. But him and Sidney Peck together, it was apparent from game 1, they didn't work. They didn't work as a pair. Sidney expected to do the Vinny Sousa job. Gus allowed license to go wherever he wants. Too much to ask of Sidney Peck. Gus Amer fouls a Bristol City player on the edge of the box, in the middle of the D. Scott Twine, best free kick taker in league, I think it's probably fair to say, now then has his pick of which top corner to put it in. Cooper says, right, well, if you can put it in that top corner, then it's yours. And he did. 1-0 down after 5 minutes, first game of the season at home. We scored and equalised, which was merited at the time, because I thought our player deserved it. And then they sucker punched us in the first half, went down, did a really strong break, and scored and made it 2-1 going in half-time. We'd had a patchwork defence. Reece Norrington-Davies playing at centre-half. Obviously, still had Jack Robinson playing for us at that time. And we could see shoots of what he was trying to do. So at this point, people are saying, we're just undercooked. We're not ready. We've lost an L, and we need some players in. And that's what we all, certainly that's what I and a lot of the Ramblers that we speak to, and my dad was saying, we need reinforcements. So we got that game out of the way. We ended up losing 4-1, and the concerning thing with that was the players' heads went down. When it went to 3 and then 4, we never laid a glove on them, never looked like coming back into it at all. And then you move on to the next game, and you think, that's Birmingham in Cup the next game, and it's a heavily rotated side. So you can't really measure the progress of that, because we're heavily rotated, because we played on the Wednesday, we were playing again on the Saturday. So you can write that one off a little bit, but if you wanted to concentrate on that game, you could tell, because we ended up bringing on a lot of first-teamers, that we were massively outplayed that game. And if 4-1 to Bristol City in the first game flattered Bristol City, then 2-1 to Birmingham flattered us. It should have been 4, 5, maybe 6. So you then go back to the league. So we're out of the Cup, even though Gus Amer scores from halfway line. We're out of the Cup. We go to Swansea, and we've made some signings by this point. I couldn't tell you in terms of, because I haven't done a timeline or anything like that. But we've made some signings at this point, got a little bit stronger, and we don't trouble Swansea at all. It's no longer a case of the defence. I think the defence did okay as a unit, but we never creatively laid a glove on them. And Swansea ended up beating us 1-0 from Ronald scoring a goal. Who were a bit of a rat on the day, but either way, we didn't deserve to beat him. Then we play Millwall at home, and Millwall at home is where a lot of people started turning on Ruben Selles. For me, that's where people started saying, "What, he doesn't know what he's doing." We were second best all game up until like the 75th minute. So people say it were a game of two halves. I think that's recency bias because the last 15 minutes we came back into it, but they're already 1-0 up then, and we have to throw everything at them. So we did have a few shots, but amongst all this, we've had like 2 shots on target or 3 shots on target over 4 games at this point. It's not what we're used to. It's not what we expect, and nobody's got a divine right to beat anybody in this league. But it's an absolute necessity that we're competitive, and we haven't been competitive. And Millwall beat us, deservedly so, because they were the better team on the day. And then, so that was Tanganga sat out that game because he was due to sign for us. So then we're in panic stations, and it's coming towards the end of the window, and this is when we know who's signed. So we know that week there were 3 signings that came in. It were first Danny Ings, then it was Tanganga just before the manager's press conference, and then it was Chong after the press conference, but signed in time to play. So all 3 signed. All 3 ended up playing in the game with Tanganga starting. Middlesbrough absolutely bossed us. Absolutely bossed us, and it was an appalling performance from Sheffield United. The only one that came out with any credit from that game was Japhet Tanganga. Thought Danny Ings made a decent cameo, but Japhet Tanganga was clearly the only player that we can say we were proud to be wearing the shirt that day. That may sound harsh, but and throughout this time, Sidney Peck has been asked to do the Vinny Souza role and made to look like a weak link in the side because it's unfair, I think, on Sidney what he's been asked to do. So that was the Borough game. Then deadline day comes, we make 4 signings. 4 signings on deadline day. We signed Ogbenny first and foremost, which I think is a good signing. We signed Matos from Chelsea, who looks neat and tidy because we got to see him against Ipswich. I thought first half he played well. We signed Ben Mee, which I think is a really good signing. We needed leaders, we need characters, and he is certainly a leader. And we signed Mark McGuinness, which came out of the blue. Nobody really expected it. And, he strengthens the back line for us as well. And we lined up against Ipswich this week, Friday night, knowing that the owners are in town. We've had 2 weeks to prepare over the international break. What can Ruben Selles get out of this team now? Because there's no excuses now, and that is largely where the fans that I've spoken to, and I never try and speak for the fan base, I can only tell you what I feel and what the impression I get from other fans is. There's no excuses for Selles now. I know it's only 5 league games, 6 competitive games overall in, but we have not seen anything, any modicum of positivity, nothing that we can hang on to and say, this is where we're going as a football club, this is what he's trying to do. And we rock up at Ipswich, we need a result, we certainly need a performance, but he's fighting for his job now, and a point would be great, not necessarily expected because of the way we're playing, but please just show us a little bit, put a bit of pride into the performance, and then we'll go into Charlton at home and we'll hopefully be able to sort of start turning things around. He drops Gus Hamer. He drops Tyrese Campbell. Look, neither player has played well this season, but no player has played well. Japhet Tanganga is the only one, as I say, that can say he's done himself proud in a Sheffield United shirt this season. He drops the player who got player of the season last year in the EFL. And he's dropped our top goal scorer from last year. And as I said, neither have pulled up any trees. I'm not saying they deserve to start, but why are you pulling out the 2 biggest goal threats in the side? Is it to make a statement? Is it to say, I'm the manager? Have the play, and this is speculative, this is certainly not what's definitely happened, but is it something that they've stood as big characters in the dressing room? Is this something that they've stood up and said, I don't agree with this? Who knows, and we probably never will know, but he left out. Tyrese Campbell has won, which we've got other alternative options in Danny Ings, who didn't make the squad. Rumours that he was ill or injured, we don't quite know yet. But Tom Cannon started, who's had a very uninspiring start, is probably right. I think there's reasons for that, and we can go into that if we need to. But Tom Cannon, who didn't fill a lot of people with confidence already, and Gus Hamer's dropped. Matos comes in alongside Peck, and I thought Matos did well, but it's more Matos' natural position to be sitting and protecting, and Gus Hamer should be further forward, whether that's on the left, whether that's in the 10. To leave Gus Hamer out, so many of us were stressing about leaving on deadline day. It's some people were saying, what are you asking for, sack? And we get done 5. And we get well done by 5. First half, I thought we were okay. I thought we were in it. And the second half, when second and third goes in, their heads go down. And there's no way back for him. There were no way back for him from this. And now it's been reported that he's been sacked. I'm just going to double check again while I've been rambling as to whether there's been any official reports from Sheffield United about him. No, I can't see anything at the moment. So we'll wait and see as and when the club puts it out. So what I was going to say was that that is how it's gone this season. The club, the ownership, saw what was coming, or saw what was happening, should I say, in terms of poor results, and course corrected. They stopped with the development signings. They stopped with the high potential signings in terms of pluck them from Tyler Bindon and Louis Barry, these sort of players who aren't proven at championship level but should and hopefully will make an impact. No, let's switch. Let's go to Japhet Tanganga. That is the statement signing for me of the window for Sheffield United. Japhet Tanganga is the biggest statement you can make for a defender signing at this level. And for us to get him when we have started so poorly this season shows strong ambition. I'm really pleased with that signing. Ben Godfrey's a really good signing as well. I know he's not played, he certainly didn't play well against Ipswich, but I'm confident that he will prove to be a decent signing for us. There's other. I think Matos may prove to be a shrewd bit of business, but Danny Ings, Ben Mee, these sort of players who are experienced pros, and I think there's been a clear shift from the ownership to bring in, and there's a lot of people saying this is because we stuck with the recruitment team that Chris Wilder brought in, like Jamie Hoyland, Mikey Allen, and others underneath them, that they were working from. They'd sort of been marginalised is probably the best way to put it. And there were a lot of concern that they'd be on their way out as well, as Chris Wilder was, as all Chris Wilder's staff had been, Alan Neil, Matt Prestridge. But it appears as though there's been a switch back and the recruitment team have taken a more prominent role. And that's where these signings have come in. Ogbenny, I think, is a really good signing as well, if we can get him to anywhere near the levels he's been at in this division before. So that was the first sign that maybe they're not sure about Ruben's image. If it was Ruben that was sort of leading this development signing and these sort of Samari and things like that come in. So the course corrected, and I think you have to praise the board for recognising an early mistake and rectifying it. And now I would say a lot of us, on the whole, would be pleased with the players we have in the squad. Could have been done a lot earlier, could have been very different faces in. I understand that, but overall, I think we've got a stronger squad than we did last season. So there's that to look at. And now, the big one is admitting their error with Ruben Selles. Now, it's easy to say this in hindsight, it's not worked. Whatever, whether you agreed with the appointment or agreed with the change in direction, thought it needed a drastic change or not, I certainly didn't. People know where I sit on it. I got stick for repeatedly comparing him to Chris Wilder, understandably so, because people feel like we have to move on from that conversation. So we started to shift and do that. And when we're talking to people about, look, do we need a change? Yes, we do. Who do you want to bring in? Well, if it's not Chris Wilder, who do you want? That was the question we were asking people, because we didn't think that Wilder would, it's not necessarily they wouldn't be interested, but I thought there were no way they're going to ask him. No way they're going to ask him. And now it's heavily rumoured that they have gone back to Chris Wilder and asked him if he'll consider coming back. For me, and we'll talk about this as and when everything's confirmed. Look, that we can't speculate. We can't talk about the new manager per se. See, it's been broken in the sun now. We can't talk about the new manager without confirmation that the current one is no longer there. So, yeah, everybody's reporting it now. Everybody but the club yet to make a statement. But if it is going to be Chris Wilder, then I think we need to all, and it's never for me to say what people should or shouldn't do. A lot of people will be for this change and feel like it should never have happened. Some will be saying it's going backwards. I would ask who is better? Who is better at the moment to turn it around? And I do think there's a modicum of disrespect in terms of what Chris Wilder's done for us, because you just feel like there is change needed. Well, this man's done so much for our football club. I value him to be our best manager of all time. I didn't live through much of the Bassett years. I was very young when Bassett was in charge, believe it or not. A lot of people will say Harry Bassett, and Chris Wilder says Harry Bassett, I believe, as well. So, but yeah, I think I am delighted with this, and I understand the concerns. I think what we have to do with Chris Wilder, and we'll talk about it if it gets confirmed, is have a plan post Chris Wilder. I think I want him to be a part of that. I want him to become an ambassador for the club. I want him to become a part of the furniture at the football club, but not be the be-all, end-all. And I'm sure he wants that as well, because he's a fan. Obviously, he wants to be significant and sort of be a vital cog in the system. And he will be again, hopefully. But he will want a legacy to go on past him. You think about, like, Alex Ferguson, for example. He's Man United's greatest ever manager. A lot of people say greatest manager of all time. He was managing them at their peak. He would be much more widely revered if Man United was still the dominant global force. But because Man United has slipped down, and they're still a really rich and famous club, probably the most famous club in the world, but their stature has slipped significantly. Now, Sheffield United's stature dips after Chris Wilder leaves and we slip down and become a lesser club, if you like, then his legacy don't mean as much, does it? It does within our club, but in the game it doesn't. He wants our club to be at the top level, whether that's with him or without him. So either way, we need to get. Oh God, I'm trying not to be too giddy about it, because there will be people that are frustrated that there's a potential he comes back. But again, I would ask, who is better to come in? He knows the core of the squad. He's proven to be a brilliant man manager. There are flaws and deficiencies which we can talk about as and when, as I say, when it comes. And some will argue that in some areas he underperformed last season, but ultimately the one metric that matters the most is the points total. And he's proven to be a successful manager for Sheffield United. He will get us out of this mire that we're in at the moment, and he'll get us being proud again for the shit. Can you imagine? Just imagine for a minute, and I'm going to jump into the comments now and start taking your opinions, because I've been rambling on for half an hour. Can you imagine we go to Charlton at home on Saturday and we win, and he comes up to the crowd and he's patting his chest again. He's patting badge, which is over his heart, and he's patting that badge and he's punching the air. It just, there's a different feeling. There's a different feeling, and it gives you that hope back, because at the moment, apathy was the thing that a lot of people were talking about. So I feel for Ruben Selles in a lot of ways. It's certainly it's never personal or anything like that, but it just hasn't worked. And I think if Chris Wilder does come back in, then I think it revitalises our season. I'm absolutely over the moon with it, to be honest. Absolutely over the moon. Right, let's get into some comments. Sonny Glasby of Glasby's Pallets, sponsor of Ramble FC. We will be on Ramble FC actually at 11:30, so I'm going to have some breakfast before I do that. But me and Jord are going to be watching Southampton Portsmouth. If you want to come over and talk about Chris Wilder, which is probably what we're going to be doing, then join us over there. Sonny says, morning Jimmy, hopefully today is the day he's gone from our club. Just hope we get the right man. Wonder what the turnaround will be until the new manager is announced. hopefully soon. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, pal. Louis says, happy Sunday morning. What a relief, Jimmy. All my fingers and toes crossed for the return of the King. There's only one man to lead us. We knew it before and we know it now. Up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Peake says, yeah, it's finally happened. It hasn't officially yet. It hasn't officially. And we have to always sort of caveat it with that as well, because we know that it's 99% done doesn't mean done, but I'd be absolutely floored if he wasn't sacked now. No hard feelings. I wish Ruben well, and I hope he goes on to do good things. Just need confirmation Wilder is back. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Cod Light plays says, hallelujah, Sayers is gone, but who will come in? Maybe Mowbray. Look, Mowbray is not an inspirational name, but I've seen that Alan Nixon has linked him this morning. I'd be nah. Maybe Roll, no thank you. Maybe Dyche, it won't be Dyche. Maybe O'Neill, maybe the Messiah. Scott says, morning Jimbo, hope you're good, pal. Finally in, glad the owners way up. Comments are rocketing down, I'm going to have to be quick. Morning Jimbo, hope you're good, pal. Finally in, glad the owners have at last seen sense and taken the correct steps. Now get that replacement in. Beardman says, who said stop talking about Wilder? Nailed in surely. Right, Zonny says, get in, I'm getting blindo today to celebrate. Sam says, thank God for that. An assistant manager at best. What I can't understand is how we did so well in pre-season and so shambolic during the actual season. We played poor opposition in pre-season, to be honest. It were a bit of a false dawn, weren't it? Please be true, says Super Furnace. Dan says, morning Jim, let's hope we get the next one right. Be Wilder or anybody else. By God, we need it. Is it too early to get drunk, says Lee? Nath says, thank the Lord, I can now go to the Charlton game with some optimism. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Brett says, I would try for Dyche, not sure Carrick is what you need. It's going to be Chris Wilder, I think, pal. Josh says, not a surprise he's gone, but a massive surprise if it's Wilder Part 3. Let's just hope it's his best one yet. Luke says, yes, up the Ramble. Daz says, should have taken another minute of watching that dross. I couldn't have taken another minute of watching that dross. It's been terrible on it. Watching that has been terrible. Two-seater says, morning, Jim. About time in my view. Now get our Chris back. Tom says, great news. Time for a comeback. Absolutely right. Paul says, it's a sad day if this has happened, as it means as a club we have failed. Onwards and upwards. Hopefully it's Dyche, Wilder version 2 of them, or the manager from Portsmouth. I know it's a small chance. It's a very small chance, I think, pal. Morning, Blades, up the Ramble, up the Blades, says Beardman. Big T says, morning, Jimmy. You're early. Have you pooed the bed? No, we're up to watch boxing. I've been watching Crawford smash Canelo and dance all around him, to be honest. Righteous One says, Wilder beats Sayers by unanimous decision. It was sacked yesterday. Wilder back, says Chris. Wilder return, fair play, Sheffield United, says Jay. Should have been instantly after the Ipswich game. It's not been that long, has it, to be fair? It's been a day since, really. 36 hours. It takes a lot to admit your mistake and go back, because it would have been very easy to have sacked him and appointed somebody else. I think it's a really bold move by the owners. Dave Shaw's not. Oh, he's smiling. Sorry, I thought that were one of those sick faces, but it's a big smiley face from Dave Shaw. Cyrus says, is Wilder coming back? It looks likely at the moment, pal. Let's hope so. Morning, Jimmy. Says Dino, what a great day if true. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up the Chris Wilder. Alan says, hope this is true. Gaza says, thank God for that. The daddy is coming home, says Super Sharp Blades. There is a God, says Sligo Blade. Mark says, thank goodness for that. Whoever advised on this appointment should also follow him out the door. They may have already done that, to be fair. I might be wrong. John says, any truth in the Wilder return story, Jimmy? Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Everything I'm hearing, and again, I'm not ITK. Don't. I'm not going to get abused again. But everything I'm hearing is, yeah, Chris Wilder has certainly been offered the opportunity to return, and he's very interested if the circumstances are right. Daz says, morning, Jimmy. It's finally happened. Always sad to see anyone get the boot. But it couldn't go on any longer. Next game would be horrendous for him. Bon voyage, or the Spanish equivalent. Please, 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 not Wilder, says John. Why, John? Why? I really want to know. When people who have this opinion, more than entitled to it, I just want to know why not Wilder. Brett says, wonder how much you would have to increase Wilder's previous salary to get him back, and he'll deserve it as well. Who are the sources for Wilder return? The Sun have just reported it. Matt Keane says, well, that new direction didn't work too well, did it? Let's hope we can salvage this season at least. James says, bored egg on face. Well, yeah, but I'd rather they did that and got it right. His record wasn't good. If you want to move past Wilder, you need better coming in. Get Wilder back, says Football Crazy. Bean says it's the right decision, but the board are nearly equally responsible for the mess we're in. The summer was a shambles. We need a manager, not a head coach. And we're crying out for a director of football or a technical director. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. How do we know this is 100% true? Nothing's ever 100% true until the club confirm it, Tom. But we wouldn't be on if we didn't believe it to be 100% right. Pete O'Rourke's reporting it. The Sun are reporting it. Alex Crook's reporting it. There's all sorts of places reporting it now. So I know the Sun aren't great, but it's just another one to add to the mix. Ings, McGuinness and Tanganga will thrive under Wilder, by the way, says Joe. Rich says, that's the news I wanted to wake up to. Cheers, Jimmy. Up the blades, up the ramble. Bean says, nothing against Sayers as a bloke, but he was out of his depth. What is the target for the rest of the season now? I can't see us being near the top 6, sadly, but I hope I'm wrong. I am struggling to keep up with these comments, so apologies if I'm just zooming through them. Chris says, hi, Jim. Agree with your comments on too much too soon. The foundations were not even put in place in terms of a director of football. That's the way we are going. I hope Wilder comes back, but get a director of football in for the long term. Completely agree. It seems likely that Wilder is returning, says Jay. Best morning to wake up hearing this. There is a God, says Ryan. As a Leeds fan, it's about damn time, says Mick. That wasn't the Sheffield United I know from experience. And us, pal. And us. Mark Meldrew says, you to me are everything. When Selles cocked it up, you came in. Oh, Chrissy. Joe says, has a permanent Sheffield United manager ever got 0 points? Up the blades, up the... I don't think so. I think it's our shortest permanent manager ever, isn't it? Don't shoot the messenger, says Super Sharp Blades. Nobody's shooting you, pal. Or me, yeah. He looked out of his depth and clueless, especially after Ipswich, says Alessandro. I do empathise for Sayers as a person, but as a football manager, good grief. Return of Wilder, can't wait. Avoid Russell Martin when Rangers sack him. That's not, we will go nowhere near Russell Martin. Wayne says, so the club have ended the affair with the Spanish data analyst and realised that things weren't that bad after all. Alan says, I've been a Blades fan for over 50 years and I've never seen them play so bad. If this is true, it will be the best Sunday in my life. Rice says, I 100% understand why the owners made the decision to move in with Wilder. I massively disagreed with it. Move in with Wilder? I massively disagreed with it, but on a business level, I understand it. Hang on. But why? But Sayers was never ever the right man. He didn't have the profile experience of how to step up. He's fronted up for his shortfalls, and I'm glad he has gone. So happy Chris could be back too. Pete O'Rourke, Alex Crook, Graham Bailey, the Sun, all reporting Sayers has been sacked. Chris Gent says Sayers needed to go, but Wilder again. FFS. Kelly says, hi Jimmy, are you happy he's gone? Up the blades, up the ramble, up behind the ramble. It needed to happen, Kel. It needed to happen. I'm delighted if Chris Wilder's coming back. Has he gone, says Vibes? Yeah. Confident enough to say, yeah, he has. Is Wilder back, says Jack? Not yet. Morning Legend says Footy Social Club should have never been appointed in the first place. Completely agree. How can you argue against Wilder? Says Super Sharp Blades. Also, did you see the Prince Abdullah seemed very vocal in the replies to fans about Wilder's return? I certainly did. J619 says, come home, Chrissy lad. Promotion is always better and sweeter with fellow Blade in the dugout. Up the Chris Wilder. Can't wait for 3MB tonight. Me neither, mate. Our squad is really weak all round and the new signings have offered nothing with the exception of Tanganga. And where the hell is Zatterstrom? Says John. Party time, says Matt. Says has to go after Friday night. Very bad. Matt says, hope it's not Mowbray. It won't be Mowbray. Yardog says, morning all, has he gone? Yeah, according to every major news outlet that's picked it up so far, yes, he has. To be honest, I just couldn't understand what Sayers is asking the players to do. I assume that's a autocorrect. At least you won't have to paraphrase Sayers' interviews anymore, Jimmy, who speaks a second language. That fast he was on a timer for his parking ticket in the car park. Yeah, it was. Those presses were tough. Jamie says, thank God. You want to hope it's not already too late to reach the playoffs. I think the automatics are a step too far now. Yeah, I'd agree, but we'll see. I said I didn't think we'd seen the last of Wilder, but I didn't expect to see him back this quickly, says Brett. TC says, only thing vertical we'll see from Selles' era is his flight back to Spain. Only way up for Ruben. Tom says, feel bad for Selles, but a completely necessary decision. Yeah, me too, pal. Scott says, Sky Sports are also now reporting Selles has been sacked. John Asquith, my business coach, the best business coach around, says, done. Just been reported. Nothing from the club, but Sky have just announced it. Jimmy getting it before. No, I'm just jumping on following reports. I'm not breaking this. Confirmed on Sky Sports. John with the praying emojis for Wilder. At least I can cheer the grandkids on today with a smile on my face. 100% correct decision. Up the blades, up all the rambles. Mark Meldrew saying Sky Sports are now reporting it. I'd believe them. Do you know what I think could be happening here? The fact that the club haven't reported it. I think we might see another one of those sliding doors things where one out, one in. Maybe that's what we're waiting on from the club. Like was originally done when they sacked Wilder and brought Sayers in. It may well be a double announcement, if you like. Extreme Dave says, I'd be interested to hear what the players legitimately thought of Sayers. Did they just drop tools on him? I heard he was liked backstage. I heard exactly the same. I heard that the players did not have a problem with Ruben Selles. Doesn't mean that they were able to play in the style that he wanted them to, but I heard that there wasn't any sort of... But I may be wrong. There were certainly frustrations. I heard things like in training that, anyway, there were some disagreements and things like that. But in terms of respecting the manager, from what I understand, it wasn't we hate this guy, what are we doing with him in charge? There were none of that. Don't think Mowbray is the guy to turn things around, says BSE. No, he's not, and I don't think it will be. If it is Wilder, then bring on the Piggies next month. Daily Telegraph, Jason Burke, Chris Wilder expected to return as Sheffield United manager, says Scott. Dempsey says 15-point start and they still can't stop us. Wilder's Red and White Army, HMS We the League is setting sail. Maiden voyage, Charlton at home. Matt Kitson says Danny Hall's now saying Wilder is coming back. Oh my God. Adam says, just wanted to say thanks, Jimmy, for this and all you do. I'll try and watch back later. Busy with the kids today. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Well, I'm as excited as you guys are. We just want to jump on and talk about it, don't we? Woohoo, says Yard Dog. 6 p.m. here in Bree, Vegas. I hope an official announcement comes before I get off to bed soon. Can't believe how inadequate Sayers has been, and how on earth the interview panels thought it was a good fit. Is he coming in, says Jack, and Scott says yes he is. Matthew says, breaking news, Sheffield United tea lady is down macro buying bulk bag of Yorkshire tea bags. Only means one thing, doesn't it? Wilder must be back. Surely a press release will be out soon, unless they are doing the old switcheroo. What I'm going to say is, as I'm reading these comments, I'm still 20 minutes behind-ish. So if any Ramblers, who obviously have my number, if it gets officially announced on X or something like that, just prank call my phone so I know that something's happened, and I'll go and check X while I'm going through these comments. Was one of those who gave him time, but no one can support him anymore. Feel sorry for him, says Skyblade, but then he has a multi-million-pound payout, so not that bad for him, mate. Absolutely right. It's certainly not a we're against Sayers thing. It's a case of it just needed to change because it wasn't working. We get Sean Dyche, says Mark. I think you'll be disappointed, pal. He seemed a bit too arrogant for me, says Darren Justice. No personality, tactically inept. Do we still not know what system what system he was playing? Good riddance if it's true. Up the blades, up the ramble. Sky Sports, Liam saying Sky Sports have reported that Sayers has been sacked. Sam with a £10 super chat. Thank you, pal. Love the content, pal. Can Wilder be told we must attack the league if he comes back, finish teams early and set a higher standard? Would that be acceptable for him to be back, do you think? Would that be acceptable for him to be back? Can Wilder be told we must attack the league if he comes back? I think there's no option but to attack the league. He will attack the league. He will. And whether you agree with his playing style last season or some of the performances, it was successful. I don't think he'll be told to play a particular I don't think they'll tell him anything, really, because in any business, and this is stuff I'm starting to learn, see, John, I do listen, there are people that can do your job better than you. Even if you're the top dog, there are people that can do your job better than you. So, as owners, there are people that can manage this football club better than the owners can. So Chris Wilder knows his job, and that's why they're bringing him in. Let him do his job. Let him cook, as the kids say. Don't be asking him to play attacking football. Don't be asking him to, go for. You need to play this way. You need to play attractive football. You need to do this, that, and other. Go and get us the results that we need to get us up this table. That's the only instruction he'll get, I'm sure, and that's obviously his aim. I hope you don't get Danny. We won't get Danny, pal. Don't you worry about that. Let's have a look. Where are we? Just trying to catch up now. There needs to be an apology from the owners for this. Why? I don't think they've done it intentionally, have they? I think what we tend to forget is it hurts us emotionally because we are invested in the club and we love the club. It kills them financially to be, to have these decisions go wrong. So there's different ways of looking at it. It's all over Google that he's gone get the party poopers out, says Gaz. Okay. Who's the best person to help build a plan for the future of the club? Chris Wilder, because he knows how to fix it and make it thrive. Danny McKay says, I don't think Says is a bad bloke, just out of his depth. Our season starts Saturday now. Yeah, it does. Danny says, look at those smiles with the goat coming back to the lane. I can see it, Jimmy. I can hear the joy in the voice, mate. It's unreal. Absolutely unreal. I'll talk about Chris Wilder properly another time, unless it comes on now, and we'll just stay on. All the media outlets are now reporting it. Sheila's Will says Sky Sports are reporting it. Nath says, if it's the case that they have managed to get Wilder back, give him a lifetime contract to save this back and forth. Yeah. It's brilliant. Fantastic news, says Dale. Now get our season back on track. Ninja says, at least Robinson has gone, so he can't have our worst defender. He can't pick our worst defender. There were some jokes in Platinum Chat going around about a loan deal in January or something like that. Delighted Wilder's coming back, says Football Crazy. David says, I want a statement, an apology from COH. Why do we want an apology? Why do we want an apology? For what? But is it surely not enough to admit doing wrong and then rectifying it? Because that's what this is, isn't it? We're never going to get an apology. Never going to get an apology. And I don't really think it's merited, to be honest. They were doing it with the right intentions. You have to say that. Wilder is not an ambassador for the club. He's an embarrassment and not liked within the club, especially after trying to blackmail the club to the tune of 4 million, says John. Completely ill-informed. Really poorly informed. Don't believe everything you read, John. That's absolutely ludicrous. I'm sorry that you've got that impression. No, wrong. Excellent review and monologue of the season so far, Jimmy. Thank you, Trev. Not bad to say. I don't plan anything. It's just, that's how we feel, isn't it? Oh, that's certainly how I feel and how a lot of Blades I've spoken to feel. Morning, Jimmy. Would love Wilder back, says William, but bringing in number 2 with him, a younger coach with modern ideas, leaving him to man manage, which he's brilliant at. I think we need to have a plan B for the evolution of the club. So I would like younger coaching members to accompany Wilder and crew. A lot of people, somebody said last night when it broke, we were on a stream on Ramble FC, and people were talking about Alan Nils passed it. How do we know that Alan Nils passed it? What do we know about what Alan Nil does on a day-to-day? We've no idea. Alan Nil could be the most pivotal cog in this management team, for all we know. You can't ever say stuff like that without knowing how they operate. But it could always benefit from a sprinkling of new ideas as well, so you can add to that with people coming in alongside. Maybe somebody, if Alan Nil wants to retire in 2 years' time and Wilder's still here, then maybe have somebody that can progress to being the new assistant manager. Absolutely, I think we need a plan for post-Wilder. We definitely do. There's no two ways about it, but it doesn't need to be, well, you can't bring Nilly in because Nilly's getting on a bit as well. And all this sort of thing. I know you're not suggesting that, William, but just in case anybody were thinking along them lines. Tim says, I almost don't dare believe that CW is back. God, I hope it's true. Up the Ramble, up the Blades. My name is Liam says, but what if you go to that Charlton match and lose? Well, I'd rather not think about that, to be honest. It could happen. Absolutely, it could happen. Anybody can beat anybody in the league. But we'll have to wait and see, won't we? It's not the way that we want to set up to think about it. Cyrus says, I think Wilder should be manager for 2 or 3 seasons and then make him head of scouting and talent relations. Get Billy Sharp in as Wilder's apprentice, says Gaza, so when he goes next time, he passes the torch to Sharp. That may come further down the line, but Billy's still playing, isn't he? How many of the players signed with Sayers in charge with Wilder have signed? A few, I think. A few from this recent, towards the end of the window. Yeah. Finn says, Jimmy, I've not been this happy for an appointment for years. Up the blades, up the ramble, up everything. Sky Sports have reported he's been sacked and Wilder is his replacement. Wow. Steve Fletcher says, all hail the Messiah, Chrissy Wilder. If that scenario happens with Charlton and Wilder, what you imagine, Jimmy, I will cry with emotion. Me too. Can't have my voice go now when stuff like this is happening. Rick says, hi, Jimmy. Great news to get Wilder back. You'll storm the league, up the blades, up the ramble, marching on together. Thank you, Rick, mate. Hope you're good. Unlucky for you boys yesterday, by the way. So true, Callum lad. Never understand why football managers don't have a probation period like most of us. Maybe get at least a point on the table. Alex Crook saying Wilder return is imminent. Oh, it's happening. Bring Chris back with Alan Nil and a young coach to be the long-term successor. Now, I am well aware that I get a bit of stick in some circles, and I think it's the minority, but for just being so pro-Wilder, I admit it, I'm a flag bearer for Chris Wilder, who has done more for this football club. I don't feel like I have to justify it, to be fair, but I certainly don't apologise for it. Maury says, taking us to the very top, he's one of our own. If Crookie's saying Wilder, then it's Wilder. Yep. Jimmy Bassett was a fab manager. He really was. Yes, I know. I know everything about Dave Bassett. I know what he did and where he took us from and to. But I lived through vicariously through the Wilder years. And Wilder, and I won't go into it now, probably on another stream, but he helped pull me out of a really dark period in my life. So, without knowing, but it's my football club got me through a really terrible time for me. So, John, maybe rename this the Wilder Lovers channel and a head exploding emoji. If you don't think the most successful manager in our recent history coming back is positive, or you can't at least see the optimism in him coming back, then you're not a Sheffield United fan, I don't think. I think you'd rather be right about Wilder. You will now be happy if Chris Wilder comes in and fails, which is a sad indictment on you, to be honest. So what I would say is, try supporting the club. Yes, we support Chris Wilder coming back in because that, in my opinion, is the most likely recipe for success for Sheffield United. That's why I support Chris Wilder coming in. It's not because I love Chris Wilder more than I love the football club. I want the football club to be back where we've been. So that is why, John. So there's no need for any of this sort of negativity in terms of, oh, well, you all just love Chris Wilder. No, we love Sheffield United and we want his club back. We want it back to where there's been nothing but apathy this season. We've been turning up. There's been people on this channel coming on and saying, not me, people coming on and saying, I'm not going if Sayers is in charge. I'm not going to go to another game now if he's in charge, because there's no effort, no fight, no nothing. So do you think it'll be like that under Chris Wilder? Do you think we'll see no fight for the shirt? Do you think we'll see no passion for playing for Sheffield United? Absolutely ridiculous comment from you. And I think you should take a long, hard look at yourself, young man. Imagine the conversation between Wilder and owners. Well, Chris, we messed up. Yeah, Rich says, why would anyone be against Wilder coming back? Best we've ever had. He cares like we care. There'll be no white flag, stuff like what we've seen so far. We need fight, and that's what we'll get. Absolutely right. Key says, I'm no massive Wilder fan. I do respect what he's done, though, but he's the best available unless we punt on a League One success like John Harris, Bassett, and then Wilder 3 as the Blades manager ranking. Fair dues, pal. Fair dues, Keith. It's an opinion. No worries with that. Alexa, play Kasabian. Come back, kid. Oh, can you imagine? Reap what you sow. Come back, kid. Says hello. As a permanent Sheffield United manager being sacked by not getting a single point, says Joe. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. I don't think so. Humble pie all around, eh? Absolutely. And fair play to him for serving himself some humble pie, because it were up to them whether they ate it or not, weren't it? BBC were reporting Wilder rumours of returning yesterday. Yes, they were. We were talking about it on stream on Ramble FC. Any update on director of football? No, not yet. Not yet. Give us a chance, pal. Gage says, I don't want Wilder back, to be honest, but I think our points total was flattering. Last season. We rode our luck. Oh, so, like I said to John while we were being reasonable previously, I don't mind it, Gage, if you want somebody else, but who else do you think would do a better job? I mean, I'm genuinely interested to know who you think would do a better job, and why would they do a better job? Because I think everything points towards Wilder being the appropriate appointment. Mickey D says, he's one of our own. He's one of our own. Sayers has gone. Now bring Wilder home. Nice. Nice. 3 at the back, says Yard Dog. Wilder coming back all over Sky Sports. Yes, welcome home. Scott says, people say Wilder's a backward step. Under Sayers, we were retreating faster than an Italian tank. Simon Bird says, I'm beyond excited that Wilder and Nil may be coming back. Should never have been let go. He's relatively young, so if he wants, he could manage us for the next 10 years. He's the man, in my humble opinion, Sir Chris. Report saying that they want Wilder back, says Cuz. Rumour for Weir as technical director. He left his role at Brighton. I'd be surprised. I think it's a natural link to make because he's been at the club previously, but before Sayers, he was probably our worst ever manager. And I know it's a completely different role, but we'll see. To say as you are just a clown, take your laptop out of town, oh baby. Nice, Mark Meldrew. The recruitment team and the players have to share the blame. I think the players have to share the blame, absolutely. I think the recruitment team were marginalised in terms of the people we've already spoken about. Shut the door behind you, pal, says Matt. Cuz says, make sure you drop a like, everyone. Thank you, pal. Doing us a solid there. If you're watching and you enjoy the content, then please do think about liking and subscribing to the channel. It's absolutely free, but it really does help us out. We are close to 10k. This doesn't update during the stream, I don't think, but this is what we're on to start with. I think it goes up in tens, so we're on something like 9,515. It'd be great if you could support us that way. Riley says, hope the owners realise that their mistake if Wilder comes back in and starts winning up the Blades. I think by appointing him, they have recognised the mistake, haven't they? And I think it's really smart to get him back in. Kev says, I agree with you saying we need to build for succession. Whoever the next manager is, if it's Wilder, what does that look like post-Wilder? Yeah, absolutely. British Fox, I think, or British Fox says, finally we can get the points on the board if we get Wilder back. Tavs says, no more shrinking violets with Big CW back. Sky Sports News reporting Wilder's back. Do you know what? I'm going to get it on. I'm going to get it on while we're doing this. I can't just have people telling me that it's all about Sunday supplements on Sky Sports News. And it's adverts. Of course it's bloody adverts. Dino says, he's benched Hamer and Campbell, and when fighting for his job, what did he expect? Come home, Chrissy lad. Josh says, just baffled we got rid of a 90-point manager, 92, and hired a manager with no experience as a pro player and zero pedigree as a manager. Felt like I was going mad when I saw the appointment. Onwards. Dyshaw Wilder, says Michael. Very happy with either. Both leaders and those quality players desperately need leadership and direction. Completely agree. Danny says, better than Christmas morning this Blades. Let's go. Fantastic news, Jimbo. Wilder back for Oxford, and let's start climbing up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Sky Sports saying Chris is likely to take over. Yes, come on, Daddy. Come back home. Come on, Daddy. Ben says it's about time that Sayers left, and great to see Wilder back where he should have never been sacked in the first place. Absolutely brilliant. It's brilliant. Andrew Kent, thank you for becoming a member, pal. Really appreciate that. I bet they get Wilder back, Jim Bob. I think you're right, Lee. I think that may be coming. Lee Dawn says, I'd love a statement that reads, okay, we screwed up big time. It cost us millions of dollars. It's time to bring 3 months of bonkers madness to an end. Yeah, ironic, funny. I would love all that. I highly doubt it, but it would be very funny, Lee. I'm with you. He's coming home. He's coming home. He's coming home. He's coming home. Tell the world that he's coming home. Nice one, eh? Nice one. CPTD says the ones that don't want Wilder back can't seem to realise how good we had it. Baffled at that. Choice would be 1 Wilder, 2 Dyche, 3 Roll. Can't have Danny Roll. Can't have Danny Roll. Home Funk says I don't mind Wilder coming in, but Wilder can't be bitter. He has that in him, and he can't be mentioning his sackings and using that in his press conferences. I don't think he will. I think we saw changes in him last time anyway, in terms of I think he was a lot softer towards the and more respectful towards the management, the ownership second stint. And I think there are things that Chris Wilder needs to work on. Undoubtedly there are. But you take those flaws for all the benefits that it gives you, don't you? So I think I think he's stubborn with his team selection sometimes. I still can't. Selecting Jack Robinson bemused me. Sticking with certain players, not just Jack Robinson, but certain players at certain times, not making in-game changes maybe as quickly as some of us would have liked. But these are small things. He had the final say ultimately and got us 92 points. So as much as we'll all have an opinion on how he does things, the proof is in the results. So I'm just buzzing. Maury says we can still get 123 points. James says Wilder will have way more control if he comes back in. Owners will give him the space now as they're completely misguided. Niall says, honest answer, would you accept Danny Roll and would he get less time with the fans? I would accept anyone. I accepted Sayers. Didn't want it, but I accepted it. So yes, I'd accept anybody. But here we go. Breaking news. Sky Sports News understands Ruben Selles has been sacked as Sheffield United head coach after losing all 6 games in charge, with Chris Wilder expected to take over for his 3rd spell with the club. I'm so happy. I'm so happy about this. I would accept any appointment. I wouldn't like it, but you have to accept it and support the club. And undoubtedly, Danny Rowe will get less time with the fans. Undoubtedly. It would have to be almost punch perfect. Ben Jacobs saying Chris Wilder is expected to replace Sayers. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world that... needs keeping simple. Just get Wilder back and start getting results. Let's not overcomplicate it. Yeah, absolutely right. Superb news is one of our own, says Andrew. Would you take Dyche or Wilder if you had to pick? You haven't been here very long, have you? In terms of following the channel, Chris Wilder for me. Chris Wilder for me. I love Sean Dyche. If we couldn't have Chris Wilder, if he was off the table, if the owners were sort of stubborn to say we're never going back, then Sean Dyche would be number 1 choice. Every day of the week, it's Chris Wilder. Every day of the week. Thank God, says David. Did that 3 months really happen, or have I just slept in? Yes. Worst manager we've ever had, says Bran. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Harsh, but some may say fair. Sat in the sun in Santorini. Best news ever. Made my day. Come on, Wilder, says Dave. We'll have a great holiday, pal. Joe says, the apology is them sacking Sayers and going back to Wilder and realising a mistake was made. Correct. That's as close to we're ever going to get to an apology, isn't it? FX Autopilot says, it's all good. Just think of it as a slightly shorter season with a 15-point deduction to start with. Playoffs, no problem with this squad. Give Wilder tenure at the club, says Jake. He's more or less got it, hasn't he? Just with big payouts, interim payouts. First thing Wilder has to do is stop the Wilder fanboys versus COH sentiment. I don't think there is a Wilder fanboys versus COH. I don't think there is. I think it's a bold decision to bring him back. It was a mistake to sack him, but they're now rectifying that mistake. Chrissy Wilder and Alan Neil get in, says Robin. Carp Catcher says, surely as a Leeds fan, you should try someone different than Wilder. You worry about Daniel Farke, you. TC says, bringing Wilder back is an apology, really. It's them saying, sorry, we got it wrong. Will you come back? Yes, it is. Ian says, you'll never see Sayers manage another club in this country. He's done here. We said that on stream yesterday. Where does he go from here? He'll go back abroad, won't he? Because he can't. He can't. Who texts him after this spell? It's been so bad. Won't have a bad word said about Alan the Thrill Nil. Absolutely right. In Wilder we trust, says Daz Justice. We need Wilder and Nil and a left Keith Andrews. Niall says, Chris Wilder becoming Sheffield United's version of Darren Ferguson and Peterborough. It's boring. Winning football is not boring, my friend. Train shows that the data-led model isn't perfect. I think they've been using Grok. Corey says, someone said about bringing in a younger coach alongside Wilder. How about Billy Sharp? Maybe in a year or two. Maybe in a year. He's still playing his bill at a good level. He's playing in League One and scoring goals. So he might have another year, yeah. He's fighting for another year's contract. So, yeah, I don't think Billy's ready to hang it up just yet. Giddy as a kipper at the thought of the Messiah coming back home, says JM. Adam says, just seen the news on Sky Sports and quickly turned over to YouTube, as I know Jimmy would be on it. Interesting to see who Chris's backroom staff are. Most of the old guard have new jobs. When you say the old guard, you mean like Jack Lester. He's got a new job. Danny Cadamartri and a lot of the youth have been left the club, haven't they? But his core team, like Matt Duke's still there, but his core team, Alan Neil and Matt Prestridge, are still. They go with him, don't they? Sometimes they go as a group, and that's who they've got. I think Nilly's in Dubai, and he said he wanted a year off. Wilder can probably change his mind if he wants, though. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. FX. If that's true, then it will be interesting to know what the situation is. Wilder and Monty, says Chef Paul. I think Monty's gone to Forest with Ange after that spell at Tottenham. Yeah, Monty's just joined Forest, says FX. More reasons to go dancing on the table, says Mark. Absolutely, mate. Confirmed Chris coming back. I'm on cloud 9 now. Carl says, hope it's the ex-fullback gets the job again and gets more out of Godfrey and others, as they weren't great against Ipswich. No, they weren't. None of them were. But midfield needs to be sorted. Hopefully get Ings fit and firing up the blades, up the Ramble. Wilder and Nil works. If we've seen it work last season and we've seen it work last season and seasons past. Keen Jelly says the players are there. They just need Wilder. I respect him to do the business, marching on together up the blades, Ramble. Thank you, mate. I thought Wilder wasn't coming back, pal. Look, I'm always happy to be wrong. Always happy to be wrong, particularly with news like this. And I was more than happy to. What's the way of putting it? How do I put it? I wanted to protect myself from going down that rabbit hole of thinking this was a possibility. I think everybody knows how I feel about this call. So yeah, I was saying we can't because he's not going to come back. They're not going to do it. Don't talk about it, because why would we let ourselves think about that? We have to think about how they're going to move next, and they'll want to move forward. Well, we were wrong, weren't we? And this is incredible. Surely when the club make the statement, it will be a double one. Yes, I think so, Russ. It's leaning that way now, isn't it? Connor says if Wilder comes back, we're making the playoffs. He's one of our own. Chrissy Wilder's one of our own. Been on Charlton. Bring on Charlton, I think that is, from James. Up the blades, up the Chris Wilder Ramble. Like and subscribe. A lot of you were critical of Wilder at the end of the season. Now you all love him. I think that's... Show me where a lot of blades were critical of him. 92 points. I think the criticism was of the playing style and the way that we played. But that's whilst also recognising he got us to 92 points and we were so close. As a Sunderland fan, I can see comparisons to us a few years ago. We lost our first 5 games. Keno came in and then we walked the league. Good luck. Luke says, embarrassing for the owners though. all this could and should have been avoided. It's a big, bold move, isn't it, to go back, though? Big, bold move to go back. Let me say, same here, Jimmy. Pulled me through a bad time in life. Was the only thing I left the house for at one point. Yeah, it means more than some people know, doesn't it, I think, to others. Can't wait to see what Wilder can do with this squad, says Luke. Chrissy Wilder and Alan nil. Absolutely right, Lewis. Cuz says, all the papers are saying Wilder's coming back now. Wilder got Blades to playoffs, proven coach. John Hutchinson needs to go support Wednesday. No, sorry, I wouldn't have read that if I'd have seen what were coming. If you would have asked me a few weeks back, will Wilder come back and say no chance or no, I don't want him back? But then I woke up and realised he's made for Sheffield United and can be our Sir Alex. Says Maury, he's one of our own. He's one of our own. Chrissy Wilder is one of our own, says Beardman. Correa says, I guess if we can average 2 points a game from here like last season, that will get us to playoff position still. Imagine winning the playoffs from here. However, I think I'm getting overexcited. Tim says, if it's Wilder, I hope he comes back with some new ideas. He's crying out for a new iteration of the three at the back. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is a whole thing in itself. A whole thing in itself where we can look at what formation he plays now, because he finished on a 4-2-3-1. Obviously, he's most famous for the 3-5-2 or the 3-4-1-2. Louis says, I'm a Wilder supporter for sure and excited to see our season start now. I also think Wilder needs as much as we need him. Needs us as much as we need him. I think he's 20% better manager for the Blades than anywhere else. Possibly, yeah. Yorkshire grit with Wilder, says Football Crazy. Chris Wilder is only ever plan B. Harsh on John Hutchinson. He's allowed it. Of course he is. He isn't allowed an opinion. But it's like we're blinded to any other thing. We're allowed to be happy that he's coming back, Niall. We're allowed. Surprised none of the Radio Sheffield guys mentioned it. I'm sure that's coming if it hasn't already, pal. Overlapping centre-backs again. We've got enough of them. I don't think it'll be overlapping. If you look at the profile of the centre-halves we've got, I think Godfrey could do it. But I think you've got to have that balance on both sides. We saw when Jack O'Connell went down, when Chris Basham tried to do it as a lone tactic, it didn't work. The reason it worked was because we could go either side with it. I think it's been and gone. Sky Sports say Chris Wilder will be announced in the next 24 hours as a replacement. Yes, yes, yes. Steve says, as an American Blade, I was doubly embarrassing. It was doubly embarrassing because it showed the owners are clueless when it comes to what the club is about. They have righted the wrong finally. Wilder with Sharp as assistant. Callum says, big thank you to Ipswich Town. The atmosphere at the Lane on Saturday is going to be amazing. Yes, it is. Yes, it is going to be amazing. Is it not embarrassing for all parties that Wilder can't get another job and we can't get a different manager? Really grateful for all Wilder did and love the bloke. There must be a time to move on. Don't you sometimes feel though, Andy, that there's just a right club for a right and a right manager for a right club, and if it does work, then why do we have to make excuses or anything like that for going back to him if it works for everybody? I don't understand it. Your players have a loser mentality now. Big job for Wilder. Yeah, it is a big job. Undoubtedly, it's a big job for him. It doesn't, but again, that's why he's coming in, because he is the big character that we need. Got to be Wilder. We can't afford to roll the dice again, says Dino. With Wilder, we know what we're getting. That's fair. That's fair. Tim the Chin says, farewell, Sayers, our first and last manager whose name reads the same forwards and backwards. Yeah, taxi for Sayers. Danny says, watch the subscribers go up with Wilder and nil. Jimmy Uber for Sayers. Positive Pits here. Nice to have you back, Positive Pits. Brett Riverboat, Knife Man, says the Championship is a funny league. Win 5 or 6 on the trot, you can rocket up the league. Yes, you can. Don't let the door hit you, says Danny. Wear the good Lord. Split your Ruben. Rubes. Taxi. Wayne says, we've got our Wilder back. We've got our Wilder back. Sayers has got the sack. These lads will play now, Jim. At least do the Brian Clough voice if you're going to do the young man. Fair dues, Kenneth. Imagine the atmosphere on Saturday if Wilder comes back. Getting goosebumps now. I know, mate. I know. It's incredible. Is the gaffer back? What an afternoon at the Lane. Charlton game will be loud and proud. Oh, it's class. King Jelly says, simply the best, in my humble opinion. Dave says, great channel. Keep it up, boys. Up the blades. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it, mate. We've given the rest a good head start, and now it's time for our season to kick off. Can't wait for the journey now. All hail Wilder. I enjoy this vlog as a supporter of another club, says Niall, but hiring Plan B Wilder every couple of years doesn't scream a great future. Thing is, I agree. I agree with this. Going back to Chris Wilder shows that we don't know any other way, and that's what we have to work on now, because yes, he's coming back in. Yes, he will right the wrongs. He will certainly steady the ship and pull us away from trouble. Whether we've enough to get the playoffs remains to be seen. But what do we do post-Wilder? That's what we have to plan for, and that's a fair point. Common sense prevails, says Jonathan. See what happens against Charlton. You might have a couple of shots for a change. P&J says, morning, Jimmy. Guess Sheffield United fans are happy. No matter who comes in, if you start winning games, it does show that players play better for certain managers and playing style, in my opinion, up the Ramble. Chris says, you have to look at the owners. They are responsible for this mess and should be made to know that. I think they've recognised that, haven't they, Chris? I think by making this change, they clearly know that that's the situation. Steve says, nah. He's a blade and he's a blade. Up the red and white Wizards. Absolutely right. Maury says he's coming home. Wilder's back. It's great, although don't get ahead of ourselves and expect to smash everyone we play, says Luke. No, we don't. All we want is pride in the shirt again, doesn't it? Going to the games and believing that we've got half a chance and we're going to go to the end. Yard Dog says, asking for a long-term plan. Wilder's only 57. He can manage us for 10 years. He can, but we haven't got a solution outside of Chris Wilder, is what we're saying. How do we build around this successful manager, this successful formula that we've got with Chris Wilder in charge? How do we build around that and make us sustainable as a club without Chris Wilder? That's the conundrum, isn't it? Soren says, how's the financial situation? Next year is the last year with parachute pit. No, it isn't. Is the future a team that ends up mid-table? As a Leeds fan with sympathy for the Blades. So we have, this is our last year of parachute payments. We were only up one season last time, so you only get 2 years of parachute payments. There's no more parachute payments after this. We have to get promoted this season, really, or we are going to have to make significant sales next year, and it becomes much more difficult to get out of the league. This is why it was so bemusing that the owners chose to go this direction, such a drastic change when we came so close last season. So it's a bit all or nothing. Party time, Return of the King, says Matthew. Lee says, if it's Wilder, just watch the change in the lad's body language. Jamie Dumpling, happy birthday, pal. Sayers gone on Wilder back, one of the best birthday presents ever. Tom Brammer has become a Rambler. Thank you, pal. Appreciate that. Michael says, good to see that smile back Jimmy Ramble, onwards and upwards. Hard to believe my boys beat both Sheffield clubs. That's not right. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. I don't appreciate you beating us, but I appreciate you saying it's good to see me smile back. Actually, a tiny bit of credit to the owners. Yes, they screwed up, but they realised fast and dealt with it in the way most of us would have wanted. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Ash from Trusty Rufus says, Wilder coming back. If you're happy and you know it, like the stream. Nice. Do you think we get, Sonny says, of Glasby's Pallets, says, do you think we get playoffs or autos if we get Wilder? I think we get playoffs. That's what my excitement is for. I think autos is probably a step too far. Jimmy, that's music to my ears, says Al. Morning, Jimmy from sunny Skegness. Morning, pal. Onwards and upwards, now Blades, from Skeggy Branch. In Soccer AM style. Taxi for Sayers. It's a bit loud for me, that's a bit high. Didn't Dyche get Burnley into... Oh, Dyche has never finished 9th in the Prem. Didn't he get Burnley into Europe? Yeah, I thought he finished 7th. Anyway, it doesn't matter, does it? It won't be him. Just pretend you had a 15-point deduction, says Jay. Yeah, I think we will. Sheffield United needs Chris Wilder as much as Chris Wilder needs us, says George. Best fit possible for both parties. Welcome back, Chris. Lee says, I class myself as an atheist, but this resurrection is changing my mind. Oh, dear. Andy says, Is it not embarrassing that the only job Wilder can get is the Blades and the only manager we have is Wilder? I love the bloke, but there must be a time to move on. Why would we move on if it works for both, Andy? That's my question. I don't think it's embarrassing to go back. I think it's embarrassing for the owners in terms of, and as a sort of extension of that, the club. But I think it's a big feather in their cap that they're willing to acknowledge that and go back to him if it means that we get success on the field. Surely that's the most important thing. Success on the field. So it may be embarrassing, but I don't see why there's a time to move on if he's the most successful answer, which he has been previously. Howard says if Carlsberg did Sundays. James says, how far will Wilder run on the pitch on our first win? Come on, up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Nate says, with Wilder back, we'll hopefully get the best out of the likes of Cooper and Burrows now. They don't turn into bad players overnight. Off to the bookies to put a bet on us finishing top 6. Oh, my word. Oh, my word. Can't wait for the Wilder press conferences and humour again. Hot off the press is going to be a little bit more enjoyable for me now. I don't have to speed rat. It's still quick and still tough to do, but I can understand what he's saying. That was my issue, not Ruben Selles. It's not his first language, but yeah, press conferences we'll really look forward to again. You can blame Sayers, but the board are to blame for the mess we're in, says Chris. I think you can blame both. I think you can blame the players as well for the mess. I don't think it's all Ruben Sayers, but I think he needed to change in order for things to... I don't think he was capable of getting us out of this mess. Chef Paul says, if he's not in place before Charlton, the terrace chanting should be, bring Wilder home, bring Wilder home. Sayers was clueless, bring Wilder home. He'll be in, I'm sure about it. Sean Dyche wouldn't mess about. No, he won't, Mark, but neither will Wilder, to be fair. If you wait 2 weeks, you can have Farker, says Johnny. No, thanks, mate. Luke says, just stood in the kitchen having my breakfast and it's just made my day. It was all about the culture and he just didn't fit it, unfortunately. We're not a fancy European flaunting club on the pitch. No, we're not. No, we're not. And the culture of the club is key, isn't it? It's what a lot of us are about. Adrian Heath was the worst we've ever had. Wilder, the best we've ever had. Let's hope it's true. Bring him home, says Mark. I think Wilder's the best choice for you here, says Henry. Do you reckon Jack Lester comes back? No, pal. He's just signed with Brentford and Keith Andrews, so he'll be staying there. 352, says John. You must be dancing inside, Jimmy. Match on together. I can dance on stream if you want. Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very happy. Do you think Bash might work with Wilder? That's not a bad shout, bringing Chris Basham into backroom team. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Brilliant character, great defender in his day. I'm not saying we'll necessarily play the same way that we played when Bash were here, but known to be such a great person behind the scenes. Up the dinosaur blade, says Luke. Absolutely right. Maury says, question for you, Jimmy. Who would Chris Wilder consider as captain? I'm not sure. I think Ollie Arblaster, his son-in-law, will probably keep the armband longer term. If you're going to include Ben Mee in a starting lineup, it's got to be Ben Mee. But again, I think we've struggled for genuine leaders. So I'll be interested to see who he hands the armband to. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Mark said on 90 after 90, if the clown was in the dugout, I wouldn't be in the ground. I'll see this Saturday. I said on Friday, this squad is perfectly built for Wilder, said Jim. Goodbye, Manuel from Faulty Towers. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles, like and subscribe. Wilder coming back means he'll have a lot of power now, says Jim. Can't wait for Saturday to come, says Kev. Sam says, how many more bites of the cherry can he have? Sad state of affairs if we go crawling back to Wilder and if he comes crawling back to that board. These are different opinions, aren't they? That's fair enough. The bloke's a fraud, nothing more than a second-rate PE teacher, says Neil. Wilder just fits the Blades like Sir Alex did at Man United. I agree with that, Mark. Gary says, I hope we can get Jack Lester back if Wilder comes back. Great with the youngsters, Skegness branch. Don't think it'll happen, to be honest. Godfrey and Tanganga both have played as fullbacks. They'd be perfect to overlap, but both on the right-hand side. Who would go down the left, Jim? And that's the question. Ray says, only just realised Jimmy's on live now. About time they sacked him. Now the club need to announce Chris reappointed. Simple quote, why fix something what wasn't broken? I think I put that on the thumbnail. The Sheffield United header on X still being Selles is hilarious. I didn't realise it was, to be honest. Okay, there's a few saying that, like Scott says, I think we do have the players for overlapping centre-backs. Tanganga and Zatterstrom are both quick. I don't think Zatterstrom will be a starter, if I'm honest. Play the steady Eddie, me, or McGuinness in the middle. Bringing Wilder back is complete egg on their face, says Chris. Tim says, not completely sold on Wilder coming back, but only because I say never go back to an ex, trust me. Sam says, only just seen this, wow, let's hope it's the start now. New manager, get a bounce against Charlton, no disrespect to them, and then kick on. Josh says, Wilder in the dugout and Campbell, Ings and Hamer bearing down on the opposition, scintillating. Sam says, if it isn't Wilder, would you take Gary Rowett offers? I still think he'd be gone within seconds if the offer came after our summer. I think Gary Rowett's a good manager. It wouldn't be my first choice, to be honest. I think he's perfect at a club like Oxford. I think he's done a really good job for you. I thought he played well again yesterday. We did a watch along on Ramble FC for it, but it wouldn't be my first choice. Chris says, so glad we have Wilder back before playing the pork chops. I was dreading it with Sayers. Yeah. TB says, we've got our club back. Home Funk says, someone say 3-5-2, Ings and Campbell up top, Gustavo as Duffy and Tanganga as Basham, Chong as Fleck. Chong as Fleck, I'm not sure about. Danny says, who could possibly be better than Wilder right now? Coming straight away. There's a link with the fans. He brings the heart and soul back to the club. He's almost got a full new team. Adam says, I read last night Wrexham might be sacking their manager. I think if we waited another few days, they might have been after Wilder up the Ramble. I agree. I think they'd have gone after Chrissy Wilder. Wilder will get the playoffs only September, and he'll do business in January with loans. I agree. I'd have preferred Dyche or Cooper, but as long as we get off the bottom of the table, says Chris, then we need to plan a future after Wilder. Dave Morwood says, just woke up. What did I miss? Get in, says John. Russ says, if Wilder is confirmed, me and Brad will be moonwalking to the lane on Saturday singing Comeback Kid, up the blades, up the ramp. Oh, Comeback Kid. We reap what you sow. Oh, it's class. We have plenty of time to think of a Wilder for 10 years in the future. We tried something different and it really hasn't gone well. I think we will all take mid-table at this point. 1,000 people in the building and only 253 likes. Come on, people, get liking the video. Sayers has gone and Wilder is back. Season starts now. Thank you, Nath. It can't get any better, says Maury. It can. Wonder how long the deal will be. Here's hoping it's double digits. 2, maybe 3. Probably 2 and probably 3 to the end of end of the third season. Candy Floss says we shouldn't have sacked Wilder to start with. Ownership knowing nothing about football, and this is what happens. I think the decision was made weeks ago, says Bladesman from the lane. The players we signed at the end of the window look like Wilder's list. The rise of the cannon. I hope so. It didn't really work. It's not worked for him yet, has it? Jimmy playing devil's advocate. If Wilder does come back and you carry on losing, where does the club go then? Sorry for the slight negative. Mate, you can be negative. It's just I don't think it'll happen. I think he will get it right. We've never gone on other than when we're in Premier League, we've never gone on in the Championship, we've never gone on a losing run that we couldn't get out of. He's always turned it around. Hit the like button if there ever was a day. Up the blades, up the ramble. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Dan. Donna says, please for the blades. Thank you, Donna. Hope you're good. I bet the rest of the league is paying notice now. Yeah, they've all had the free, haven't they? Them that we've played beforehand. Fair dues. You can take your easy points off us. We're coming back now. We're coming back. Matthew says it'll be interesting to see where Sayers goes after this. I wonder if any English club would take a gamble on him now. I don't think so. Born Leeds says the second most embarrassing club in Sheffield. Yeah, I'll take that. Chris says, now Wilder's back, we'll climb up the table even though we've lost 5 games. I see no opposing team to be scared of. Said it all the time. I said Sayers would not win a game. The fraud has gone up the Ramble. Wendy fans will be loving this. No, they won't. Looking forward to that next Steel City showdown. Wait, Wednesday till I die, boys. See you soon, James. Billy says, Jimmy, he's gone. There is a God. Get the flip in. I'm so buzzing. It feels like 3 points. It might be time. It might take time, though, because the confidence is so low, but we'll see. Up the blades, up the ramble, says Game Slayer. At least you don't have to change your intro video now, Jimmy. I was never going to do that anyway, pal. Never going to do that anyway. Born to be wild. Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure that'll make a comeback, but we'll see. Of course, CW will consider coming back. It's a better squad all round, says Mark. Started with -2 last season and ended with 98. This season he starts with -15. Here we come. Up the blades, up the ramble. Like and subscribe. Guess who's back? Back again. Wilder's back. Tell your friends. So where do we go if Wilder can't change this around? Sorry for the negativity, but covering the worst is important too. Yeah, we just said that, pal. Nothing is ever 100% guaranteed to work, is it? It doesn't definitely mean we beat Charlton on Saturday. But I pretty much fancy us, to be honest. Bring James Beattie in as a striker coach. We had a look at that. He's director of football at Totton AFC currently. Bash has an infectious personality. It's a good shout. So Super Sharp Blades. Bring in Jock, Bash, and Sharp when retired as the future. Might have to name 3MB to 3 Delighted Blades for a one-off, says Mark Meldrew. Bloody Wilder, says Brian. He will be power mad. Give him the keys. Kev says, we now need a structure in place. Director of football, fetch Billy and Bash in to learn the ropes and build to take on the mantle like Wilder did with Eke. Tanganga for captain, says Danny. The rest of the championship are bricking it now. Wilder is our version of Alex Ferguson. Up the blades. Totally agree with the comments saying we can't keep going back. There's a very simple answer, though. Don't ever let him go. Billy says going back to Wilder makes sense in the short term. They now need a succession plan in place, co-authored with CW for the next step of progression after. That's the way forward now. Yeah, I agree. Luke Van Dome says, it honestly blows my mind how we can be divided as a fan base over Wilder. The best to do it in my lifetime. You don't know what you've got till it's gone twice. Up the blades, up the ramble. Absolutely right. LVD. LVD. Too right. Too right. Josh says, morning, Jim. Great news for the Sunday morning. Oh, my wife's ringing me. That's not a good sign, is it? Oh, thank you to Russ for becoming a Platinum Rambler. Welcome, pal. You should have got an email that'll come to you that gets you into our WhatsApp group if you want to join. Wilder comes back, and me, Lacey, and Brad are moonwalking all the way to the lane. On I've read that, Russ, but you've included Lacey this time. Will you be on air as soon as Chris is announced? I'm pretty sure I will be, yeah. You know, we're always here ready to jump. Just bought tickets to the Charlton game, says Carl. For the whole to celebrate. This is how I'm feeling. This is how I'm telling them. Cheers, Jimmy, up the ramble. It's crackers listening to Blades Ramble this morning. Listening to you reading the post is giving me goosebumps. Says M. Webb. 12-hour day shift. Never been so good. Up the Blades will bring the chemistry back to beautiful downtown Bramall Lane. Wilder back equals immediate hangover cure, says Luke. Danny says, old Red Eyes is back. Red from the night before. The night before. And yeah, we will never be blue, obviously. Scott says, I do wonder if Wilder cancels a few of the loans to get his own players in come January. Possibly Barry and Bindon leave, especially with Hamer back on the left. I won't be surprised at all to see Bindon go back. Barry's a decent option, but I don't know if he'll be a starter under Wilder. We'll have to wait and see. Have we got competition from Rangers for Wilder? Not if... I don't think they've sacked Martin yet, have they? Sky Sports saying Wilder's coming back. Yeah, I can see that as well. I've got it on in background. It's about time. Please, Wilder knows what he's doing, and this team is perfect for him. Jimmy, up the blades, up the ramble. Love your work, mate. Thank you, Jod. Appreciate that, mate. Dodgy Motson, who I'll be on air with in about an hour. Chrissy Wilder and Alan Nill. We are back, baby. Up the blades, up the ramble. Laura says, happy for you all, Jimmy. I will say Wilder was very respectful towards us last season, that being Leeds. In response to him being softer, yeah, I agree he was. It was harsh to sack him. We had the same conversation with Farker. I know. Liam says, where does it end though, Jimmy? 8 billion people in the world and you are relying on one man to always dig you out of trouble. When do you break the cycle relying on Wilder? I don't know. Would Leeds fans welcome Bielsa back? I don't know. I think once you've found your man, then why get rid of him? Let's have a look. Blade Running says, genuinely, thank goodness I've never seen confidence leave players so fast. Bring back heart, passion and belief, the fuel of success. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. CW is the best man for the job. Is it too early to start drinking? Up the Blades, says LA. Come on, Blade, says Jord. Ian says, still think we need to appoint a director of football. I agree. The board clearly doesn't understand the game, so need someone between them and the manager. Alessandro says, can't wait for that crappy and scrappy 1-0 win against Charlton next week and seeing Wilder thumping the badge. Yes, please. Discourse of Peacocks says, as a Leeds fan, no logic in sacking Wilder, especially for someone who hasn't proven it in the Championship. Like your footballing takes, so I'm pleased for you. Don't want more Yorkshire clubs going down. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I like your stuff as well. The only way is up, says LA Blades. Cooper for captain, says Paul. I'm loving his back, but it has to be the hardest time he's been back without half of his backroom staff. The grafting is going to be so hard. Come on, Wilder, up the Blades. And Laura says she'd snap your hand off for Bielsa. So there you go. It's one of them into Bielsa back in a flash. Michael says, now Wilder is back, does that strengthen his position within the club? I would have thought so, yes. Would he have stronger control over recruiting rather than AI recruitment? And would it be more difficult for the Fort owners to sack it? No, it wouldn't be more difficult. They'd still be his boss and have ultimate control. But yeah, he'll have a lot more say, I would have thought. Right, okay. I'm going to call it there because I'm going to try and have a little bit of breakfast or something before we're live. We're live at 11:30 on Ramble FC. We're going to be watching Southampton against Portsmouth with Jord Motson. We'll likely be talking about all of this stuff as well. Let's be right. Let's call it as it is. And if Wilder does officially come in and it's all sort of done and dusted, then we'll go live on Blades Ramble. We may even cut that one short and come live on Blades Ramble. So, all aboard the Chris Wilder train. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Let me just double check that we haven't had any... Oh, yeah. Okay, that's good. So, thank you to everyone for joining us today. This morning, it won't be the last time you see me. And I'll be back on the Blades Ramble definitely tonight at 7 o'clock with 3 Mardy Blades. So, we'll see you very soon. Come on, you red and white wizards. All the Blades! Shout, shout,